everyone, welcome back for day 2 of our article on emotional blackmail. We're so glad you came back. Oh gosh, we were going to be really angry if you weren't back here.
That's right, you did come back, which is so nice, but now we just need you to do one more thing to really make us happy. But actually what we're going to do is talk about emotional blackmail. This is when someone uses guilt or pressure or fear maybe to get you to do what they want. They're not just asking you or hoping that you'll be kind. They're kind of forcing you to do this because if you don't, you will feel bad in some kind of way.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe if you do, you will feel bad in some kind of way because you'll feel like, oh, I keep giving in. And it's just easier to agree with the other person.
I guess, it's kind of like with real blackmail, right? If someone has pictures of you doing something bad and says, I will give these to the police, you give them money, and then they can just use the same pictures again to get more money out of you, which is, of course, why blackmail, the real kind, is illegal, and emotional blackmail, while it's not illegal, certainly crosses the lines and breaks the rules in a good relationship.
Right. Well, apparently not a good relationship if it's using emotional blackmail.
Right. That's why it crosses the lines to bad relationship.
Yeah. So today we're going to tell you about different kinds of emotional blackmail because there's more than one way that people do this.
Interesting. Okay, let's check out the article.
Reading. Don't be a victim of emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmailers include 4 main groups: punishers, self-punishers, sufferers, and tantalizers. Emotional blackmailers from any group may spin the problem to make it seem like the other person's fault. A punisher threatens to punish others if their demands are refused. Self-punishers threaten to harm themselves to make the other person feel they have to help them. Sufferers make it seem like the other person can solve their problems. They may cry to make the other person feel guilty. Tantalizers pose threats as quid pro quo, such as, if you do this thing for me, I'll do something nice for you. It seems like a gift, but the cycle keeps repeating with more and more demands. How can you bring emotional blackmail to an end? Firmly express your boundaries. You have the right to say no. You can also try talking to the person to solve the problem. Also, a capable therapist can assist you with all these approaches. If nothing works, it's best to walk away from the relationship.
Okay, so we are right away talking about 4 different kinds of emotional blackmailers. The article says emotional blackmailers include 4 main groups: punishers, self-punishers, sufferers, and tantalizers.
Interesting. Okay, so all of these different styles or ways or types of person will be doing emotional blackmail. Well, not all of them will be doing it, but it could happen in all of these different ways. Emotional blackmailers from any group may spin the problem to make it seem like the other person's fault. Okay, this automatically makes you feel kind of bad, makes you feel responsible. If something is your fault, it happened because of you, and what happened is probably a bad thing. Now, if I make something bad happen, I will feel bad and I will try to fix it. But what if it wasn't actually my fault? What if it's the other person's fault, but the way they explain it makes it seem and makes me feel like it is my fault? Well, the way you explain something in order to sort of bend the truth or point the story in the right direction, we describe that as spin, okay? When we talk about spin, we're kind of talking about the things that politicians might say. When something bad happens and it was totally the president's fault, they might say, well, I would have done it perfectly if it wasn't for that guy or those people or that country or something that wasn't my fault. They're kind of, brushing off the fact that it's their fault and trying to share it or maybe even get rid of any sense of responsibility. That's what we mean by spin.
Yeah, so what are these 4 different kinds of emotional blackmail? We're starting with the Punisher.
Okay.
Which is a superhero?
Well, it is a superhero, but this is not a superhero.
No,
this is just a nasty person.
I just thought of that.
It is actually a superhero, yes.
Yeah, so a punisher threatens to punish others if their demands are refused.
Well, that's just like a bully.
Yeah, basically. Like, if you don't do what I want, I'm gonna take your money. If you don't do what I want, I will punch you.
Right,
Something like that. So punish would mean to, do something that makes you feel bad or is like, because you were bad, I have to do something about that. So they are threatening to punish you. And we heard the word threat yesterday. Threaten is the verb form of threat. It's saying that you will harm someone or you're gonna do something bad or that they don't want, especially in order to make them do what you want. So yeah, in emotional blackmail, they always have a goal. They always have something that they want from you. They're not threatening you just because they want something from you. And that's why they're doing it. So an example sentence for threaten: the young child always threatened to tell the teacher about his classmates' bad actions, so none of them liked him very much.
Oh, okay.
You ever have a classmate like that in school?
Not too many, I'm happy to say.
We call those tattletales.
Tattletales, right.
Yeah.
Snitches, you might also call them.
I'm gonna tell the teacher!
Right, exactly. And even though the student might be right, no one likes that kind of person around because, they always feel like that person will get them in trouble. All right, and harm and threaten are actually kind of similar, right? We'll find out as we read the next sentence, which says, self-punishers, this is our second type, self-punishers threaten to harm themselves to make the other person feel they have to help them. So it's kind of the same as a punisher, but you're flipping it. You're saying, if you don't do this, I will hurt myself. I will be so unhappy. My feelings will be hurt. So instead of saying, I'm going to hurt you, you're saying, you're going to hurt me. And you don't want to do that, do you? All right, to harm something is basically to cause some hurt, some injury, some damage, something like that. You might harm yourself if you ride a bicycle without wearing a helmet. If you fall off, you could hurt yourself quite badly. You can harm someone else or harm something else. If you leave your bicycle out in the rain, you might harm the bicycle, damage it, cause it to break in some kind of way. And here's one that we often hear from doctors. Using cigarettes or using e-cigarettes can seriously harm your health. It's going to damage or hurt your health. That's why we shouldn't smoke. All right, so there you go. Sufferers, that's the third category we have.
Yeah, so we've had punishers, they will harm you. Self-punishers, they'll harm themselves, which I actually think is the worst one because you feel like even if you don't want to do what they want, they might hurt themselves. You don't want them, you don't want to be responsible for their life or their health. So, yeah, it feels really bad. Anyway, the article has the third one, which is sufferers. Sufferers make it seem like the other person can solve their problems. They may cry to make the other person feel guilty.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I do this not consciously. Yeah, it's not a good thing. I'm working on it. But anyway, so when you feel guilty, it means you feel bad because you believe that you've done something wrong. And especially if somebody's crying because of you, is what they might say or what you might think, you will feel pretty bad. Like, oh, please don't cry. I feel really bad.
Interesting. So in this situation, the person's kind of saying, I can't fix this. Only you can fix this. And if you don't, I will be so unhappy. Is it kind of like that? Yeah. Okay, interesting. So kind of like self-punishers, but actually kind of giving up more power than a self-punisher would, because they're saying basically, I can't fix this situation. I need you to do it.
Or basically they're saying like,
please come save me.
I'm in so much pain and
only you can make me feel better.
Exactly.
Interesting. All right. And then the fourth group, that was the interesting labeled tantalizers. Now, when I think of tantalizing, I think of, looking at delicious food through the window of a restaurant when you have no money and are so hungry. It's like, it's sort of hanging there like a magical, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Well, tantalizers, it says, pose threats as quid pro quo, basically saying such as, if you do this thing for me, I'll do something nice for you, okay? A quid pro quo is basically if you do something for me, I'll do something for you. It's kind of an even exchange, right? So, if I helped Kat move last year, then this year I say, hey, can you help me move apartment this year? She might say, okay, that's a quid pro quo. But what if I ask her to do it? I'll say I'll help her, but then I don't. That obviously wouldn't seem fair.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of what you were doing in the beginning of this article. You were being a tantalizer.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have those 4 different kinds. It seems like a gift. Well, tantalizing seems like a gift, like I'm gonna help you.
Right.
But the cycle keeps repeating with more and more demands. So basically, you can never repay them because they always want more. And it's a cycle, it's a bad cycle. So let's learn what the word cycle actually means. The word cycle is a noun, and you might recognize it from being the end of something like bicycle, where it's sickle instead of cycle, but here it is cycle. And so cycle, you can guess, means to go around. It's a set of events or actions that happen again and again in the same order. It's like a big circle. So if you, promise somebody that you'll do something, and then you don't do it for them, but they keep saying, oh, you promised me that you'll do something. And you say, I'm sorry, I promise next time I will do it. And then it doesn't happen again. And you keep going in this same set of actions, that is a cycle. Sometimes we call it a vicious cycle, when it's a cycle of bad things that lead to each other over and over. So here's another use for cycle in this example sentence. The cycle of the seasons means that most plants will die every winter and come back to life every spring.
All right, so now that we know what emotional blackmail is and the different ways or the different types of emotional blackmail are out there, here is a good question. How can you bring emotional blackmail to an end? How can you stop it? If you're in a relationship or this is part of it, how can you bring it to an end? Basically, to bring something to an end is to stop something, generally something that you have the power to stop. Right? You can't say, I'm tired of this airplane, please land. I want to bring the flight to an end. The pilot would say, we're over the ocean. We can't do that, and you can't decide. But yes, if it's something in your own life, you can decide to bring it to an end.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to bring emotional blackmail to an end, here are some ways to do that. Firmly express your boundaries. You have the right to say no. Yes, boundaries. You have to set good boundaries and you have to keep them for anything in your life. So, you have some things that you simply will not do, some boundaries that you simply will not cross. You have to keep them firmly. Firmly is this adverb that means something is not likely to change or to be changed. It's from the adjective firm. If you stand firm in your decision, it means you say, I am not changing my mind. I'm going to do this, and there's nothing you can do to change. Yeah. So if you're doing it firmly, that just means you are saying, hey, I have the right to say no, and I'm going to say no here.
Yeah, you're kind of doing it with confidence and power, and you're sure of yourself. Well done.
So an example might be, Jessie's mom firmly said no to another cookie before bed and told her to go brush her teeth.
Right.
No, you cannot have another cookie. Go
exactly.
brush your teeth.
There you go. And don't ask me again, or no cookies tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she definitely set up some boundaries. And what are boundaries? They're kind of like rules, okay? When we think of a boundary, you might think of the lines around a soccer field or something like that, right? If you go over it, well, nothing terrible will happen, but the game will end and we don't play over there. We don't do that. That's not the part of the game. This is where the game is. So they're kind of like rules in your own life, right? Yes. You might lend people money, but not more than a lot, not more than a few $1,000s. That's my boundary. If I lend you more money, make things uncomfortable. So these are sort of, personal rules that you live by in order to have a happy, peaceful life.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so back to the article. It says you can also try talking to the person to solve the problem. Absolutely. This can be a hard problem to have with people in your life who you generally love and enjoy being around. But if it's your mother, your brother, your sister, go up and say, look, I love you a lot, but you're making me crazy with this emotional blackmail. You're making me unhappy and this is happening. I wish you wouldn't do this. Maybe you can try that. I would be happy to help. But don't make me feel bad about saying no.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to make sure that you guys can have a healthy relationship and one person doesn't have the upper hand all the time.
Yeah.
And this can be a really hard thing to do, which is why this next point is really helpful. The article says, also a capable therapist can assist you with all these approaches.
Sure.
Yay, therapy! We love therapy, but we want to make sure they are capable first. Let's learn what capable means. When someone is capable as an adjective, sometimes capable can mean that they're able to do something, but in this case, capable means skilled at doing something. So if you are capable at your job, it means you can do it very well. You have good skills in it. It can also mean like, yeah, you are able to do something at all, but in this case, it's talking about somebody being a professional at their job. A capable therapist is somebody who's very good at therapy. So an example sentence for capable, Greg is a capable teacher who's able to easily explain new ideas to his students. All right, so that's what a capable therapist is, but what is a therapist themselves?
Good question.
So a therapist is a person who does therapy. In other words, they're a person who help other people deal with mental problems, emotional problems, or even just, how's your life going? How can we make your life a little bit better for you emotionally, mentally? How can we reduce your stress or help you out of depression? Things like that. And it's about talking about those problems and kind of helping you find ways to solve them yourself.
That's right. Therapists are often psychiatrists, and when we use just that word, we are usually talking about helping you with your emotions, your mood, your happiness, your mind. We can also have physical therapists, right? Who, if you hurt your body, maybe you twist your knee playing basketball, they can help you exercise over weeks and months to get you feeling better. So again, they're helping you kind of work through your problems and go from not healthy to healthier. But in that case, we would usually put another word in front. Physical therapist, a pet therapist might help you with your animal friends. But when someone says, I see a therapist every week, usually they mean that kind, the emotional kind, talking about your feelings. And yes, talking is one of the approaches that these therapists generally use. What is an approach? Well, here we're using it as a noun, not as a verb, not getting close to, like we are approaching the train station. No, here it's a noun, and basically it's a method or a way of doing something. All right. So what is your approach to Christmas shopping? Oh, I like to order everything online a month before Christmas. Or I like to go to the store the day before Christmas and run around like a madman, just buying anything I see. There are different ways to do your Christmas shopping. So you might do it in a different style, a different method, or have a different approach. For example, what approach would you recommend for asking my boss for a pay raise? Should I emotionally blackmail my boss? Should I kidnap him and force him to give it, or I'll shoot him? Or should I go to him and say, hey boss, I've worked really hard. I did a lot of good stuff. Can I get a bit more money? I think that last approach would be the best.
That definitely. Much better than all the other ones.
I think so. Yeah. All right. Back to the article. So if nothing works, if you really try to fix this relationship and end the emotional blackmail, but if nothing works, it's best to walk away from the relationship. And again, here we don't mean actually just turn around and walk away. We mean kind of end the relationship. Go away from that person. Stop spending time with them. Stop getting your life and their life all twisted up and tied together. Basically say, I can't deal with you anymore. It's making me unhappy. It's making me crazy. So to stay happy, I'm going to go and I don't really want to spend time with you. And that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
But it's better
for close friends,
especially
family.
if it's close friends and family, but it's better than living an unhappy life and having a constantly unhappy relationship with this person, a relationship that just makes you feel bad and be a victim of emotional blackmail.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Well, it's time for a chat. And so we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back with that.
You chat.
All right, so our chat question today is actually about emotional blackmail, but this time not about characters in movies or video games, in our lives. So think back on our life, or think back on your life, to a time when someone emotionally blackmailed you. What did you do? And what would you do differently now that you know how to kind of handle it?
Okay, this is going to sound real silly.
Okay.
I was probably 10 or 11 years old.
Okay.
I had a new friend in my neighborhood. Like I had a lot of friends in my same grade who lived in my neighborhood. We all hung out together. There was a new girl who I went over to her house, and she had a bag of candy. And she was like, I'm going to leave you in here for a few minutes while I go get something. Don't eat any candy or else I won't be friends with you ever again.
Was she testing you?
I don't know.
That's very strange. She sounds like someone doing a test in a psychology class.
Yeah, and okay, because
Did you look around for the hidden cameras?
No.
No? Okay.
But, I mean, because I was a rebellious kid, I didn't like when people told me what to do. I still don't like when people tell me what to do.
So if she says don't do it, you're going to do it.
I did it.
Okay.
And
you ate the candy?
I had one piece.
Oh.
That's all.
That's nothing.
Yeah, but she was still really, really mad.
She noticed?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She was like really, really mad. And she was like, you and I aren't friends anymore. But then I still stayed at her house for another hour.
Kids are weird, aren't they? And I bet she's probably a psychologist now. She probably does tests like that. No, she isn't.
She didn't turn out too well.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe because she was emotionally blackmailing people at the age of 10.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, what would you do differently now? Just don't eat candy. Let's spend some time thinking about this. Spend some time with our loved ones. Don't emotionally blackmail people. And do please come back next time for more great articles. We'll see you then. Be well.
Bye-bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Threaten. Gary waved his walking stick and yelled loudly in an attempt to threaten the mountain lion and scare it away. Harm. Driving to work every day might be comfortable, but it harms the environment. Cycle. The life cycle of some insects is as short as 2 days. Firmly. The woman firmly told the dog to sit, and even though it didn't know her, it listened to her. Capable. Herbert is a capable teacher, but he does not have much passion for the work. Approach. We all admire Janine's calm approach to any problem that comes up in her job.
智慧小补帖
Quid pro quo. Boundary. Therapist.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net